Vince McMahon resigns from the WWE and UFC as he quits his role as TKO's executive chairman after an ex-wrestler staffer accused him of sex trafficking as well as defecating on her head during a threesome. Quite the allegations, you guys. So recently there was a $21 billion merger between the UFC and WWE, and shortly after, an internal investigation was launched which uncovered that McMahon had used, and this is wild. This is a wild number. I mean, wild. $14.6 million was used to basically shut up 4 different women by forcing them to sign an NDA. All right, if you guys don't know what NDA means, it basically means that there was an agreement upon them, a gentleman or whatever, some sort of agreement, and they're not supposed to tell anything about that. In exchange, they have them sign something, and they maybe give them some money. And one of those women is an ex-wrestler / staffer whose name is Janel Grant. And this is Janel Grant. Yeah, so attractive young lady. Apparently she was sex trafficked, right? And basically what happened in 2022, Janel Grant and Vince McMahon agreed that she would receive $3 million in exchange for signing that NDA. But now she's filing a new lawsuit because McMahon has yet to pay her the $2 million after the initial $1 million installment. McMahon originally signed this because his wife found out about the allegations, and he stated that he didn't want them to interfere with his controlling interests in the company. Now, you guys, I'm not saying he's guilty, but you don't pay a woman $1 million in cash to shut up if you didn't do something that can be incredibly damaging to your reputation. Now listen to these allegations, because this is literally some Jeffrey Epstein shit. But let's start with the mild allegations first. Okay, so apparently McMahon was accused of, among other things, coercing a former female wrestler into giving him oral sex and sexually harassing a female employee. Now, these are Grant's accusations, and they're quite disturbing, right? So the lawsuit claims that McMahon coerced the now 43-year-old into a sexual relationship, shared naked images of her with WWE staffers, and forced her into orgies where she was repeatedly called a B word. You guys probably guess what that is. This resulted in physical injuries, and apparently she had to cross state lines to do this, which is resulting in that sex trafficking claim. Right now, this is where things get real shitty, because she also claims that McMahon shit on her head during a threesome. All right, and told her not to shower for an hour and a half, all while forcing her to continue to please his colleague. This is all out there in the news. Just Google it. She also claims that McMahon and John Laurinaitis, who was a former head of talent relations, forced themselves on her in an office while telling her no means yes and take it B word. But in July 2021, McMahon told Grant to create sexualized content on her phone, apparently to send to a former UFC heavyweight champion. I wonder who that is. There can only be one, because there was only one fucking champion who was a WWE wrestler, and that was Brock Lesnar. And this is what allegedly resulted in that $3 million payout to Grant in 2022 in exchange for her signing the NDA. But guys, last July, a search warrant was executed, and a federal grand jury subpoena was served to McMahon to get his phones, documents, and any sort of damning evidence. And this lawsuit contains screen grabs of text from McMahon, which I will share a couple with you right now. But be prepared, because these are graphic. I'm not going to get too much into them because I don't want to spoil my appetite. But all the evidence so far is pretty damning. And Vince McMahon is starting to look like the new Jeffrey Epstein here. He may even be on his list. That's like so likely at this point. Because he basically did everything Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein did to this poor girl and possibly other women who have all signed that NDA. So I'm expecting more women to possibly come out in the near future, but we'll see. But here are some explicit text message. So following the threesome on May 11th, McMahon sent an explicit message to Miss Grant that further detailed his fantasies of seeing her engage in sexual relationships. May 11th, 2020. All right. Love it. That's you, Janelle. You just can't get enough, can you? And the future is going to be so bad that you'll demand to be effed twice a day and not just with da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da. I don't want to get too into this, you guys, but that's just one. Okay. Here's another one. After the threesome began, McMahon became more sadistic and his fantasies focused on control such as choking, sensory deprivation, pain, humiliation, and group scenarios in which Miss Grant was to be physically overwhelmed and subservient. You guys can look this up. I'm not going to get into it. Again, this is all on X. Just type it in. And these are even more. July 21st, 2020. Around this time, McMahon openly shared explicit photographs and salacious stories about Miss Grant with WWE crew at TV tapings. TV tapings. A group McMahon also referred to as her as a... they were like a fan club. Indeed, McMahon exuberantly messaged her a truthful story of having just shared explicit content on her phone with a group of 12 men on the WWE tech crew and recounted the obscene details he shared with them. He says, I just passed my phone around to a bunch of guys on the tech crew. They were screaming, OMG, she's effing beautiful. Look at that ass. I'd like to get that. I paused to count how many guys there were. 12. I then said, okay, there's 12 of you, and she would love to F each one of you. Okay, I'm not even going to get to that. But, you know, that's insane. And then there's even more. On February 5th, 2021, McMahon sent Miss Grant to establish a schedule for when other men, including physical therapists and Lorianis, would have sex with her, which Miss Grant attempted to rebuff. She basically goes, give me another week, baby. I'll be ready. I'm feeling more like myself. It's not great, but it's getting better. Tell him soon. And he goes, I already told him, baby. By the way, Johnny wants Tuesdays, but not this coming one. An occasional Saturday. Maybe I can shift it in to Thursday nights. So you guys can see that this is so similar to what Jeffrey Epstein did and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? I mean, this is pretty insane. Basically, he did everything they did to this poor girl and possibly other women, you know, and hopefully the truth comes out. But guys, what is up with these billionaires and their obsession with taking advantage of poor girls like Miss Grant over here? The eerie thing is that she was recruited, like I said, almost the same exact way Jeffrey Epstein's girls were. They were all struggling in their life and in a vulnerable state. Janel Grant basically, you know, was going through the same thing. Let's see here. Her lawyer came out, allegedly, you guys could look it up. She was struggling and was dealing with profound grief and struggling financially following the death of her parents. And apparently they lived in the same apartment building as Vince McMahon, and she was introduced by the property manager. I don't know how you struggle and live in the same building as a billionaire, but whatever. Janelle's lawyer said that even after the sexual abuse began, Janelle kept trying her best to be the best, you know, possible employee. Obviously, she needed the money. You know, this is exactly how Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell recruited teenagers. So this seems to be the formula as to how billionaires used to recruit and traffic these poor girls. This is just wild and insane. Even after hearing about it for a few days, I can't wrap my head around it. There's got to be some sort of Netflix freaking episode that comes out about this. Now, if these allegations are true, there's probably way more to uncover in the WWE because who knows what other executives or other people are going to be found to be part of it during the subpoena. But just hearing about him passing it on and showing everyone, the TV crew, oh my God, it's crazy, man. But the funny thing is, guys, we all get a second chance at seeing this kind of thing come to fruition and unravel because Epstein killed himself. But now, hopefully, Vince McMahon doesn't kill himself and we get to see the truth in all this. All right, so if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe button for daily UFC content, MMA news, fight predictions, and betting tips. I come out with them daily at 2 p.m., so see you guys on the next one.